Welcome back, students. Today we'll see what is inline functions in C++. Last class we were discussing about templates and exception handling and all. So those all come in fifth module. Actually the inline functions in C++ comes in the second module, I think. Second or third module. Since we have not covered the topic, I will finish off the topic and then we'll continue back to the fifth module. So inline functions in C++. We know what is a function in C++. So how does the function work in C++? So whenever we have any function call, it jumps to the whichever the function being called, that location, that address, and then that will be executed, and then it will jump back to the called function. That is how it is being executed. And what are the internal operations going on in it is, so whenever it jumps to the called function, it is going to store the return address. So it uses stack to store, and then whenever the function is executed, it will come back to the main program. How it will come back? It will track the return address from the stack, and then it is going to return register, and then it is going to come back to the main program. So that is a normal situation. So what is the drawback in that case in normal function is, every time it needs to save, in the register. It has to store the function return value and then come back to the return address by using the location or register. So this takes a time consuming process. So this could be overcome by having a inline functions. But inline functions cannot be said as a very advantageous when compared to the normal functions. Inline functions can be used where it does not involve more code in it. In that cases, inline functions could be used. Otherwise, normal functions are effective than inline functions. So we'll see what are the main drawbacks of normal functions. See, I'll read out and then I will explain you also. Whatever I have told now, only it's given here. When the program executes the function called instruction, the CPU stores the memory address of the instruction following the function call. So whenever the program executes the function call instruction, the CPU stores the memory address of the instruction. Why we store the memory address? Only then, whichever is the function where it is called, that address could be next step to be executed. That address has to be stored in the CPU. What is the job of CPU? The central processing unit, which is going to process whatever is the instruction available. So that what is the next instruction to be available means, so whenever you call any function, so that function is the next instruction, right? So that function's address need to be stored in the CPU for execution. It copies the arguments of the function on the stack and finally transfer the control to the specified function. And then CPU then executes the function code, stores the function return value. See, statement is here. The CPU then executes the function code, stores the function return value in the predefined memory location or register, returns the call to the calling function. So this is needed because after completing all the function execution, it has to return back to the calling function. So this can become a overhead if the execution time of function is less than the switching time from the caller function to called function. So when you have execution time, whenever we have only a function, only one statement in the function, then we are using more time in spending to the switching between the caller and the called function. Callee is nothing but the called function. The switching time is going to be more than the execution time if the execution is going to be only a single one or two statements. So if I have a function with more statements, then I can go for a function. If my function have only a single statement, then it is unnecessary to have a function. Instead of that, we can have some other option. So because execution of single line is not going to consume more time, whereas executing in the case of switching between the caller function and called function will consume more time. So that is why it is better to go for the inline functions in the case of single line statements. So in order to reduce the overhead in the function call. So now we'll see a simple program for that. So this is a syntax for defining a function inline. So you have an inline, return type, function name, parameter. So normally we have return type, function name. Along with that, you are inserting one keyword called inline. So next, So in the inline function, these things are to be considered. The inline function, see this statement first. See this statement first. So here the compiler may not. So the compiler may not perform inlining in such when are the circumstances the inline functions are not possible is given here. If the function contains a loops, if the function contains a static variable, if it is a recursive, if the function return type is other than void, return statement does not exist in the function body. So if the function contains switch or go to statement, all these cases we cannot go for the inline functions. This could be avoided. Inline functions can be used only for single or one or two statements. Otherwise you can go for the normal functions itself. Next, we'll see a simple program for it. So this is a normal inline function program. See how it's given. So you have a main program here. So where it is calling a cube. Cube is a function with the argument 3. So cube is an inline function. So which is just return s, s into s into s. Suppose 3 is the value passed here. 3 into 3 into 3 is the return value is 9 to this statement. So what is the difference? How is the execution different from the normal function is, in the statement of cube, in the normal compiler, in the statement of cube called with the argument 3. So here this will be substituted by this code. See, this normal function call will be switch. There will be a switch between the called function and the caller. Whereas here it is a substitution of this part in this place. So whenever there is a cube of 3 in the program, so this part will be return s into s into s will be substituted in the main program. So I cannot have a loop statement. I cannot use some other statement with switch statement, go to statement, because substitution becomes very complex in the case of inline functions if I am using all those statements. So it is better to have a simple statements like this in the inline function. Then I can use the inline instead of using a normal function, because for this type of function with a single statement, if I use a normal function, then it consumes more time in switching between these two areas, from here to here, from here to here. The address switching between these two during the execution time is going to take much time than the execution of this single statement. That is why we go for the inline function, where in the inline function this statement itself is substituted for the called function, so that there won't be any switching. This happens only during the compile time. Whenever you compile a program, wherever it finds inline, how it identifies it is an inline function? Using this keyword, it identifies it is a inline. Wherever it is an inline keyword, that function's definition will be substituted instead of this function call area. So in the program it will be substituted. So how it will be if it is substituted? So after compile time, so if, for example, I will show you how it is going to be. So during compile time, so instead of this cube, so it will be having see. So this is what will happen internally. Instead of this statement will be substituted. Return will not be present. So return is only a keyword. So this will be substituted. So your answer is going to be 9. Cube of 3 is 9, which is going to be the output. So this is what will happen internally, which we cannot see it. Okay. So during the compile time, this will happen, which we cannot see. This is a normal function of the inline function. That is, it just substitutes or inserts in the place of called area. That is a work of the inline function. Normal function is not so. It will switch between the address of the called and the caller functions, which involves more switching time. Is it clear? So that is why we go for the inline function. So now in the inline function, we will see an example of the inline function inside the class. Sorry, this is actually a class. Okay. So here this function, how we are defining is, you have a class, inside that you have a public function, that function is made inline and then definition is given inside. So this is normally we write a program like this. So, but effective way of writing an inline function in C++ is we have to write a class name, we have to write only the function declaration. We are supposed to write the definition outside the class as it is given here, along with the class name. See how it is given, this S is the class name and this is inline with the keyword which identifies this is a inline function, and this int is the return type and this square is the function name and this is the argument passed. So this you all very well know. Till this part you all very well know because you have done several programs. Inline is the extra thing which has been added, which shows that this function is the inline function. Then next, so here we are going to do a program to find sum addition. Same program we have done using a normal function. Here it is a inline function. So it is going to see, this is each operation, each function. So each function is going to do something. So get is going to get values for a and b. Sum is going to find a plus b and display the a plus b. Our subtraction finds a difference and display it. Product again multiplies and displays it. Division, it is going to divide and display it. That is a normal thing. We have also done a program in it, but without using a inline. So here it is using a inline. So s dot get is going to take the input. S dot sum is going to find the sum. So what will happen here in the sum place? So you have the sum. Add is equal to a plus b. See out. So this will be substituted. These two statements will be substituted instead of this sum statement. So that in the compiler time, all the statements will be substituted with the inline function codes. That is the difference between the inline and normal function. So what happens, suppose a get function has a 2 lines of statements. Sum has 2 lines of statement. Different has 2 lines. Then the number of lines in the program will increase in the main program during compile time. So that is why it is said that inline functions can be used only if I have only a minimum set of lines in the inline function. If I am going to have more statements in the function, then when it is going to expand the code, then the code becomes very larger. That is the main drawback of using an inline function. So we have to use only 1 or 2 statements as the inline definition. So this program works and gives output like this. So these are the main advantages. Function call overhead does not occur. It saves the overhead of push and pop variables on the stack. Why this push and pop is to store the return address and get back the return address. It also saves the overhead of the return call from the function. So when you have an inline function, you may enable compiler to perform context-specific optimization on the body of the function. Actually, optimization is something you are minimizing the code. So that minimizing the code in the sense, it is all 3-level code. This part you will understand only if you learn more on it. But optimization is something you are going to make the program code effective. That is what optimization. And then inline function may be useful in embedded systems, because inline can yield less code than the function call. So we are going for the inline function. But inline function disadvantages is it uses more number of registers during a compile time, and then use too many inline function. The size of the binary executable files, as said, the binary executable size will be large, and then inline function may increase the compile time overhead. It may be useful. It may not be useful for many embedded systems. If the code size is very much increased, it may not be used, because we saw embedded system uses only if the code size is less. If it is small, so remember the statement, if it is given, if it is small. If it is large, then it cannot be used. And then inline function might cause thrashing because inlining might increase the size of the binary executable file. So I cannot go for inline functions if it has more code in it, more number of lines in the function definition. So if I have minimum 1 or 2 lines, then I can go for the inline function. Otherwise, it is going to lead to some drawbacks only. So that's all about inline functions. So the program given here, you can execute. You have already done a program using a functions where you have done using addition, subtraction and all, using a class and the object. In that, you just insert inline and see, and you will get the same output. Internal things, what is happening, you will not be able to see anyway. But that is working in the inline fashion. That's all. Thank you all. So go through the video and then try to understand. If you have any doubt you have, then you post in the WhatsApp group. Thank you.